Welcome to the, I think, fourth match of this Affinity versus Affinity series. Oh wow, this hand is interesting. You know, this hand is just too fast to mulligan. It's got a lot of things I don't like about it. I don't like the Ravagers, and I don't really like the Signal Pests. Which is most of the hand, but I feel like it just gets so much damage in quickly that if his hand is fairly slow, I can punish him for that quite handily. And the Ravagers do shore up one of the bigger weaknesses of the Signal Pests, which is 1/1 flyers, in that if he blocks one of the Signal Pests on turn 3 when I'm attacking with them for the first time with something like a Vault Scourge or a Blinkmoth Nexus, then they trade, or then I can keep the Signal Pest alive by sacking a Ravager and moving the counters over to it. Unless, of course, he plays a Steel Overseer, in which case I am very unhappy. But he did not. Well, I guess I have Signal Pests and Ravagers for days. Alright. The possibility of just trading off against his lands is also not bad. He doesn't have quite enough mana that he can really do too much. Oh, also the Blinkmoth Nexus has... The Blinkmoth Nexus being summoning sick is actually really important here. Sack the Ravager to move the counter over to here, so that I keep the better. If I move it to here, then I'll have a 1/2, and if I move it to here, I'll have a 1. Sorry, I'll have an 0/1 if I move it here, and I'll have a 1/2 if I move it here, which is why I'm moving it here. I guess he's not completely constrained on mana. This will be very awkward if he has, say, Galvanic Blast, although I feel like if he had Galvanic Blast, he would have played it on the previous turn. Certainly I feel as if his draw was Ornithopter. Alright. It's a fair to not block there and just throw away more cards. If he tries to build up to like a Master of Ethereum or something to make his future blocks better, and because at some point he has to stop hemorrhaging resources. But yeah, he had drawn 2 Etch Champions, and yeah, that'll do it. I've been very lucky that in all of these game ones, I have not drawn Etched Champions. And I haven't drawn a whole bunch of redundant opals, and most of my hands have been functional. So, yes, very lucky I have been. This hand is fine. It's 1 Mox opal away from being great. Unfortunately, that might be the key difference between winning and losing. I don't want to run out. If he had a Mox Opal, he would have played the Mox Opal and a 2-drop. I'm only running out 1 Ornithopter at the moment, though. We'll see. I think I just have to pray that he doesn't have a Garrett Aether Grid. It's fine if he has an Ancient Grudge or a Galvanic Blast, but a Garrett Aether Grid is a disaster. There's no way I'm blocking that. If he has no interaction, this is going so well for me. One of the reasons you have to do things like play the Steel Overseer into the Garrett Aether Grid, by the way, is because if he has it, you're never going to, it's never going to do anything. It's not like you can just wait out the grid. And so if you can't wait it out, you have to pray he doesn't have it. Which he didn't. I got him to use an Ancient Grudge, so, you know, mission accomplished. And here I force him to sacrifice an artifact, and even though he gets the counter, it's fairly low valued. Oh, this comment is referring to the free attack with Ravager. my comments are complimenting what he said, not disputing them. Here I'm pretty certain he sacks the Ornithopter. He could also just let the Ravager go, but I think the Ravager is more valuable than the Ornithopter when there's a grid in play. Interesting. Sacrificing the Welting Jar is not something I particularly expected, but it's not awful. So his hand is fairly top-heavy in some regards. It might have a grid in it. There's actually a fairly decent chance. It might have more Ancient Grudges or Galvanic Blasts. There could be some Cranial Platings. There could be a Vault Scourge. Alright. Flashes back the Grudge on that. Okay. So here, I'm gonna just trying to keep trying to get value by pinging down his creatures. Because if I can force him to sacrifice enough artifacts, then I can Ancient Grudge and get rid of all of the counters that he's accumulated on the Ravager, and have essentially gotten a lot of free value by having the Gyrup or Aether Grid, you know, force a bunch of stuff to go onto the Ravager for free, and then getting all of the stuff off of it for one card. And I don't mind just getting chipped away at by Ravager over and over, because I have plenty of life to spare at the moment. Oh. Somewhat awkward, but alright. Okay, so the current plan is to take another hit off Ravager, animate a Blinkmon Nexus, and kill one of the Ornithopters. He'll probably grudge away the pest. So the biggest goal is that I want to be able to Ancient Grudge the Ravager while he has no creatures in play, so that I only need to use the front half of the Grudge on the Ravager and not the back half, and save the back half for something else. That's why I'm slow rolling everything so much. So here I animate. Ping. Ping. And then Grudge. And that'll do it. Too much value off of the Gerber Aether Grid. And eventually, once I cleared all those things in, then he has no chance of putting any pressure on me, because he knows I can't play any creatures because they'll die, and there's an Ancient Grudge to blow up anything that could get through. All right, that was good. All right, see you next match.